Deleted session, October 1st, 1973. Long noted, during the past week, Jane has made a spectacular improvement in the use of her right arm, with lesser but steady improvement in the left. There have been other good signs physically. She has also improved considerably in her daily works, etc. The body changes for the better seem to be long-lasting. Already they have existed for longer periods than any others in recent years. Needless to say, we are both very pleased. They said, "Good evening." As always, give us a moment. It is obvious not only that Ruber is improving, but that one important area of the body has begun to clear itself to a large degree. Do you agree with me? Ralph said, yes. They said, then, since we have that established, let me tell you that it is of course no coincidence, for the right arm was the area first affected. The body has its own patterns of behavior, connected with beliefs, but in this memory pattern, they are transient, and these are beginning to be erased in the order in which the condition was established. Do you follow me? Ralph said, yes. They said the arm, by its sudden freedom, also serves as a model to Ruber consciously, and also for the rest of the body to follow. He is aware of the feeling of freedom consciously, physically, as a portion now of daily experience and comparison. He did not have this before, and so it is highly important symbolically and literally that improvements will continue and be used as a model. The feeling of warmth and the identification with the legs and the sensations throughout the whole lower body is also highly significant and necessary. Changes are occurring there physically, and the circulation being increased to those areas. There are muscles and tendons that are thawing out. Hence, the body is acclimating itself to new conditions. These improvements are happening in such a way that no undue stress is placed upon any particular group of muscles or tendons, and yet there will be some periods in which feelings of unaccustomed activity are present, and perhaps some tenderness as muscles and tendons are gradually activated. These feelings will also be accompanied by sensations of warmth, however, and so should be accepted and recognized as a sign of mobility and action. He can begin to try to feel greater strength now in the right arm, and all improvements on the right side are being picked up by the left. As I told you in our last session, the original beliefs behind the symptoms have largely vanished. Some are still coming to light. The body condition reflects subsidiary beliefs about the body that he mobilized for the other purposes that now no longer operate. Some of these subsidiary beliefs are already beginning to melt. Hence, the improvements noted. Others await only physical proving out in experience, and the time necessary in your turns for the body to readjust at an even rate. That is, an overall body of motion will be newly established. While the condition reigned, there was a characteristic overall body position and method of behavior that operated as a whole, and in line with his beliefs, it was organized. Each portion of the body participating to give you the overall modus operandi. Now that is changing. The changing entails adjustments at all body levels, so there are in-between periods, so to speak, physically in your turns, as all portions of the body react to any given improvement. In the meantime, Ruber is aware of sensation that before was largely deadened. The old condition had its own balance. The improvements will follow their own rhythm as the body sets up a new balance in compensation. Some of this has to do with energy patterns and flows. The hardest part, however, is over, for the sensation of freedom has been physically introduced through the arm into the system, and that message echoes throughout the system. Ruber no longer believes he needs the symptom. The condition, therefore, is beginning to fade. It will not take anything like the same amount of time to finish as it did to establish itself. There will be sudden improvements on the physical level, as with the arm, but before that occurred, there were changes in beliefs. There will be other almost unnoticed improvements that will not show until they suddenly appear as a major breakthrough, and these have already begun. He has done well following my suggestions, particularly going outside. The squatting he performed, Rob noted, last Friday night. They said should be repeated once daily at least, for it reinforces the idea of letting go with the body. Badminton or pounding the pillow should definitely be started this week. He is thinking in terms of improvements now, though, and this is an important development. Do not, in your case, over-remind him of what he is supposed to do, for he takes this to mean that you do not expect him to do it. He knows well now of your loving concern, and feels your love, and your love-making endeavors are extremely important to both of you. Do you want a break? Ross said, no. They said the body can stand 2 more of the small vitamin C's a day now. I want to say something about beliefs that became obvious to him today, concerning time and work. The ideas of work have been largely covered. His beliefs about time are important in relationship to his work ideas. As he noted, the belief was that he must be the young American poet, or the young American writer. Now, we are dealing with an old belief system once shared to a large extent by you both. In that system, he saw you nearly 10 years older than he, and in those terms unsatisfied, so he must work all the harder against time, and cut out everything else. In that system, as he developed it, there was no time for leisurely meals, showers, shopping trips, or mundane enjoyments. Only the work was important. Only it would survive. The day in which it was produced would vanish and be nothing. Only the work would survive as a monument. The trivialities and the moods, the feelings of morning and twilight would be extinguished. So he thought, as you told him, and so against many of his natural instincts he tried to obey. So the day became nothing more than a framework in which he must work, and in which all relationships had little value except as they were interpreted through work. He became pursued by time, so that in his world there literally was no time for anything else. At the same time, his body kept trying to assert its privileges and natural life, but he saw it as a tool to work. He understands now a good deal of this, but I want to put it in form for him. Even his writing time, therefore, became frenzied. He did not live in the moment, or know his body's present reality. Sensations and impulse were deadened, unless they could be translated into work. Now this did finally become so reflected that feeling shunted aside frightened his work, and he finally recognized this. He was afraid of out-of-bodies precisely because he did not have a good enough footing in the present. He did not have the needed support. The body's weight was kept down for the same reasons, because he felt according to those old beliefs, that the body's sustenance and the substance in physical reality was not important in regard to his work. These ideas are also vanishing now. The body with weight and substance might be unmanageable, filled with too much energy, and therefore want the physical activity he thought he must deny it for his work. It is not a matter of what he ate, but chemically what he did with the nourishment. Any panic he now recognizes having to do with time represents leftover old obsessions about the necessity to work with a time limit. Even in those limited terms, you see he realized that his achievements and production are in his terms not sufficient, but he must move out of those limiting ideas, and he is. Take your break. Now, all of Rupert's presently past beliefs added up to his physical condition. His beliefs in the nature of time, work, the body, his particular nature, they all tied in together perfectly. Each person's personal reality has the same kind of unity. There is nothing that does not fit into the picture. There were achievements and joys along the way, and these should not be forgotten or minimized. They were all the result of beliefs also. Rupert believed that they were only achieved by neglecting the body. He realizes now that the body's reality is the framework through which all must come in this life, and that limiting its vitality will eventually end up limiting all experience and all work. Now he is lucky, in those terms, for many never understand the pattern of their beliefs. His creative mobility is dependent upon his physical mobility now in this life, something he did not understand before. You, Ralph noted to me, they said, are also seeing what can happen when spontaneity is denied. The badminton or pillow pounding allows for the expression of freedom, mobility, and speed, the opportunity for it, and is therefore important. He still does not completely understand the nature of what he calls summary time in relationship with inspiration. This concept is extremely valuable, however, in freeing him from old time ideas. His idea of changing the present through altering pictures in the past is also pertinent and good. Have him continue the practice as he began it. It aids in understanding beliefs, and it does alter the past and therefore the present. Give us a moment. He should finish my book, then begin it again, this time following the exercises as he needs them. As mentioned, I will have you both do the point of power. Beer in any quantity should not be avoided. It is all right on your night out. These are aids only. For now, he is right to avoid citrus. The vitamin C makes up for that. Tell him to begin cutting down white sugar in coffee, or use brown sugar. Cutting down is better. Apricot is better than pear juice. These are simply aids that will later be unnecessary. Fresh tomatoes are good instead of fresh, Ralph noted. So-called, they said, commercial tomatoes. However, use canned ones for him, but not tomato juice alone. Canned cottage cheese is excellent. Now bacon for him is good. In moderation, that particular kind of fat is good as a lubricant. All grains. That is all for this evening. The suggestions given last week, plus the badminton or pillow beating, to be continued, and the squatting. The sitting down, whether on a chair or the toilet, has to do with the fear of letting the body go. Where the toilet is concerned, the ideas of time enter in, where he did not want to take time out. Everything as given last week to be continued then, with the added suggestions. These are geared to his condition. Make sure you suitably recognize his improvements. There will be more of them, but again, periods of readjustment which should be accepted as such. The mobility of the fingers is much better when typing, something he did not mention. His dream recall will also improve, because he feels more secure in physical areas. Now I bid you, My dear transcriber, a fond good evening. Russ said the same to you, Seth. Thank you, good night. They said one brief remark, a rose wine rather than your persona. Russ said, okay.